Hi, I'm Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us tonight. White suppression, the big lie. That is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Joining white privilege is a new piece of far-left propaganda called white suppression. Basically, the anti-American zealots are trying to convince people that we have an unjust society. We need a complete overhaul in our political and economic systems. White privilege and suppression will be a big issue in the upcoming presidential campaign, even if those terms are not openly used. So let's get down to it. The other night on The Factor, I said this: our traditional American values are under siege nearly everywhere. If you're a Christian or a white man in the USA, it's open season on you. Therefore, Hillary Clinton has an advantage. She can run a general campaign, first woman in the White House, and I'm going to help you by increasing the entitlement society. And that's my political analysis. You may disagree, but I can back up what I say all day long. Enter New York Times columnist Charles Blow, a man who has never seen an alleged grievance he did not try to exploit. He writes, quote, Fox News' Bill O'Reilly ratcheted up the rhetoric on Monday with the words Hillary Clinton for president in yellow and all caps next to his face. He bemoaned the idea that our traditional American values are under siege nearly everywhere. He bemoaned? I just stated, and what I stated is a fact. And if Mr. Blow doesn't know that, he should retire immediately. But his agenda is to convince his readers that white people actively suppress black people and other minorities. That is the general theme of the far left. Today, in another New York Times column, race baiter Michael Eric Dyson wrote, quote, Americans are bad at viewing race in real time. We prefer rose-tinted lenses and slow-motion replays in which we can control the narrative and minimize our complicity in the horrors of our history. Our complicity? Apparently, Dyson believes the slave trade continues to define America. Therefore, all white people are complicit. Complete bull. I have no complicity. None. I'm a big fan of John Quincy Adams, the abolitionist. And throughout my life, I've donated big money to help suffering minorities in this country and all over the world. Mr. Dyson doesn't care about that. The fact that I am white and in a powerful position makes me the enemy. Here's the truth. Our traditional values in America are under siege. We're seeing dramatic changes in the definition of human beings on the abortion front, in the definition of marriage, and in the definition of capitalism, among other things. Anyone who denies that is a dishonest idiot. It is true that in the corridors of power, white men still dominate. But there are many reasons for that. But if an American woman or a minority wants to succeed in this country at a high level, they can. Blow and Dyson are examples of that. Blow, who, by the way, is afraid to debate me, has a very good job in journalism, does he not? Dyson is actually a professor at Georgetown University and bloviates on television all over the place. Again, the truth is that we live in a competitive society where hard work and the freedom to pursue happiness has made the country strong. Historically, minorities and women did not have the same advantages as white men. And in some places, that's still true, but not in most places. No society's perfect. Police agencies, local political situations, corporations can all be corrupted. But there is no organized white suppression. And our system gives all men and women the chance to succeed in life if they do what is necessary to compete. And that's the truth. And that's the memo. Now for the top story tonight. Fridays with Geraldo segment tonight. Yesterday on CNN, there was this exchange about police violence towards young black men.
What you're not saying but implying is that then broad strokes on all police are the hunters out to kill. Is that really fair, Congressman?
Well, yeah, I think it's a fair accusation or a fair depiction of what's happening in society today. We find an overabundance, and we've got video evidence of black males who are being shot and killed by police officers. We don't see any other demographic being inordinately singled out for this kind of misconduct.
Here now to react, Fox News senior correspondent Karl Rove. All right, you just heard that, and you heard the talking points memo, discussions with Mr. Rove and Governor Huckabee, and you say?
I say that the only way a Republican can win against Hillary Clinton is with a specific, positive, optimistic agenda. Example. Now you have this perception, this undeniable perception. This guy may be a lunatic. This congressman is raving when he says these things. However, there is this perception in too many black families that the cops are more of a danger to the young men than the crooks. How do you, as a Republican, defeat the perception? Here's what you do. As a candidate, if I am elected president, I will make every single police killing a presumptive federal offense. In other words, anytime a policeman kills someone, regardless of circumstance, red, white, blue, yellow, I don't care what color, either the cop or the victim, I want a U.S. attorney, I want a presumption of federal jurisdiction each and every time.
Might be unconstitutional to do that?
It is absolutely not. Rodney King,
let me ask you this.
I must give you this example. Rodney King, 53 people died in the riots that followed the jury's acquittal of those white cops. There was then a civil rights case, people forget, and 2 of the 4 cops were convicted of civil rights violations. What if the federal probe had happened first? In other words, the feds come in, they see a civil rights
But the option is already there to do that. You know that.
You've got to do it. You've got to make it a presumption of federal jurisdiction. Right now.
I don't know if that's constitutional. But look.
It is constitutional.
There's 135, according to Centers for Disease Control, black men killed by police officers. I think it was in the year 2012, the last stats we have. I'm not opposed to that, but I think that might alienate conservative people who don't want the federal government to expand its jurisdictions into local and state unless there's evidence. Okay?
I think you
but anyway, look.
Make it a presumption.
Okay.
A
Fine.
rebuttable presumption.
It's a good debatable tactic that you obviously have thought about. What do you say when I say these 2 people that I singled out tonight, Dyson and Blow, are basically agitators, and they're basically putting up a false scenario of what America is all about? What do you say to that?
You know, Blow and Dyson, I don't think much about them, to tell you the truth. Blow, I recall his son got a gun pointed at him in New Haven, and he railed about the fact that here his young black son had a cop pointing a gun. It turned out the cop was black, and he never mentioned that in the column. So these guys play it both ways.
So you
but
say that.
Can I speak to the larger point?
Yeah.
I think that if you, in your righteous anger, Bill, if you lead the GOP so that they are again against gay marriage and marijuana legalization and immigration reform and a woman's right to choose, if those become the GOP talking points, then Hillary Clinton will certainly be elected. You can't.
I disagree with you.
Those issues
As you just heard with
may
Karl Rove,
fire up your audience, but they will not win an election. Not in the country as it has evolved.
As Rove just said, the primary issue is going to be economics, all right? That's what the Republicans
job
are running.
creation.
But the Republican candidate has to be very articulate in saying, this is what I believe as a human being. And there's nothing wrong with saying, and most of the country agrees now, that unfettered abortion is morally wrong. Most of the country believes that.
I believe that.
Okay. So all the Republican candidate has to do is say, this is my vision for immigration reform. I want a fair deal for everybody, and here's what I'm going to do, all right? I don't believe in the legalization of marijuana, and this is why. Or if they do, okay. But I think that Americans will respect specific belief systems if articulated. Last word.
You have entitlement programs now that reward bad behavior. Me, as the Republican candidate, will take those compassionate entitlements and make them work for the family.
Good.
For example, you have a kid
Only
that
15.
you have a kid that goes to school, I'm going to give you money. You have a kid that gets A's, I'm going to give you money. You have a father that stays in the home, I'm going to pay
bribing
for
them.
Yes.
You're bribing them.
I'm practical.
All right. Geraldo Rivera, everybody. Don't be surprised if he runs for office someday. In Jersey, right?
We'll be against you someplace.
I'd like to see you and Christie go at it. Wouldn't you like to see that?
That'd be a lot of fun.
Talk about World Wrestling Federation.